Lovers of the association. This is your guy Marcellus Ease, and we're definitely in for a treat as James Harden went up against the Indiana Pacers and put on a three-point clinic as he was able to rewind the clock and hit the most isolation threes he's had since December of 2019 when he was back in Houston. And he was able to do this with the assistance of the dominance of Kawhi Leonard inside the paint, which opened things up from the perimeter. And it seems like Tyronn Lue has finally figured out and gotten the Clippers into a groove, as coming into this game, they won 7 in a row. But I'm not going to say no more. Let's just get to it.
See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out.
So starting up in the first quarter, the Clippers were able to cook, especially with Miles Turner being out for the Indiana Pacers. Kawhi Leonard just dominated in the interior, going 5 for 5. And it started to open things up, especially for perimeter shooters like Paul George, who went 3 of 6 from three-point range in that first quarter. James Harden had a few assists, but the Clippers got cooking really early and pretty much never looked back. Now with James Harden starting to cook up in this second quarter, we got to ask ourselves, with this Clippers roster, with all these ball handlers, do they have a catch and shoot three-point guy? Because Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and James Harden from time to time, they have a knack of just doing this exact situation right here, which is you have an open shot, but they're going to go ahead and take another dribble and then take the shot. We see guys like Carmelo Anthony also have this kind of struggle when he went to Houston and in OKC. He couldn't quite be that catch and shoot guy. He had to put the ball on the ground. But James Harden, even though once again he's cooking up right here, he does put the ball down and kind of dribble himself out of an advantage that he had right there. And then he takes a shot. Even though he still makes it, he dribbled himself out that open shot that he had. And can this habit really be kind of tapered down a bit from the Clippers stars? That's a question going into this season. So with Miles Turner out, you see why the Pacers couldn't stop anyone in the interior. I mean, look at Westbrook just grabbing offensive boards. Sheesh. So with the Clippers up 20 at this point, after this missed shot by James Harden right here, he rewinds the clock and goes back to the old James Harden, as he's going to knock down 5 isolation threes, the most ever for him since 2019. Or you could basically say 3 teams ago. That's how far back it's really been, since his good old Houston days. As right here in isolation, I believe James wants a screen a lot faster, as there's action right here on the strong side. He wanted a screen from Daniel a lot quicker, but he's going to get it. And just off this pick, James Harden gets warmed up. Now right here, we're going to get a super rare moment from James Harden off this deflection, as this play right here. This is what the Clippers need James Harden to be. The catch and shoot guy, just like that. This is one of the rare moments, but James, he has that same habit as Melo from time to time. Got to put the ball down on the floor. He got to break that habit and just be that catch and shoot guy that the Clippers need. Too many ball handlers on this team between him, Kawhi, Westbrook, and Paul George. But he's definitely starting to chef up right now. Next possession, James Harden gets the one-on-one ISO with Buddy Hield and takes him right to the cup. Now a few possessions later, James Harden waves off the screen from Paul George, calls ISO, puts on the dance moves, right on Obi, bam. Once again, James Harden gets a one-on-one with Obi Toppin, but the only thing I would say right here is pay attention to everyone else. Just camp out. Russell Westbrook just got subbed out a few moments earlier, and when he originally had the rock, everybody else was standing around, including James Harden. So that's one knock I have, but yeah, Harden was just cooking, boy. Woo! Now in this possession, after Paul George gets subbed out, it's interesting enough that Buddy Hield once again is guarding James Harden one-on-one in the ISO. Last few times was Obi Toppin and Buddy Hield, and he was ready getting cooked, but once again, ISO right here. And this right here is vintage James Harden. Look at the moves. Woo! There's a step back. Look at Westbrook right here. He is chefing up. He's happy as hell for James Harden. Now, as soon as James Harden right here is bringing the ball off the court, you would think the Pacers would press right here. You would think that, to apply enough ball pressure for him to just pass it up to someone else. But boy, when you cooking, you are cooking. Ooh-wee. They got Harden doing snow angels, man. Come on. So it's great to see that James Harden still has the ability to rewind the clock, especially with 5 out of the 6 shots in the fourth quarter all being in isolation, which kind of threw us back to the old Houston James Harden. But just putting things into proper perspective, this Clippers team is not always going to be in these type of matchups, which going up against teams who really can't defend down low, especially with the Pacers not having Miles Turner. So they're not going to be really encountering this type of situation from night in, night out, being able to almost drop 80 points by halftime, which allowed them to have enough breathing room to let James Harden just do him in the fourth, in which James started making all his threes when they were up by 15 points. They were so comfortable heading into that fourth quarter that Kawhi basically sat in the bench the whole time, as Kawhi was pretty much dominant from the paint, which kind of opened things up for James on the perimeter. But it's good to see that Tyronn Lue got this team in a groove and they kind of figured where things need to be. But still, the Clippers' off-ball movement is still in question, because even though in this quarter Harden was cooking up, they virtually had almost no assists. But limiting the turnovers and the off-ball movement is going to be real important for this team, because defensively, they don't really have the size or just the players at their athletic peak. Even though Kawhi is still doing his thing as he's played all the games for the whole season, but defensively, they're probably not going to be one of the top teams in the league. So just the intangibles are going to be real important, especially for James, as that has always been a category that's kind of plagued them throughout the years. But hey, it was great to see James Harden rewind the clock for a night. And until next time, you fellas, stay safe. Peace.